Good evening, everybody. In a week where the Gills lost back-to-back football matches, the Spireites got hit for 6, the Saddlers stayed top, and Steve Cotterill returned home. This is the League 2 Hour with myself and Lee from Around the Grounds. Episode 10, mate. Absolutely staggering. That's the first thing I'm going to say. How have we got to double figures already? This is mental.
Yeah, it's mad, isn't it? When I was sending you the thumbnail over earlier, I was like, yeah, it's 10. Where's that gone?
Absolutely crazy.
Well, yeah, it's just going strength to strength.
2 months into a season already now, aren't we?
One on.
Crazy, yeah. We'll get into that time where league tables start to take shape, and we got plenty to get through tonight. Slight difference this week, though. There'll be 4 feature games from myself, because Lee wasn't sure whether he was going to be at Harrogate tonight or not, and then he's going to talk us through the game he was at the weekend, all aboard the Oldham Booze Bus for a 3-1 defeat at Meadow Lane. Let's say hello to some people first. 21 of you already in watching, which is absolutely brilliant. You know what we're going to say. Smash that like button. There it is. Get Lee's little message out of the way. Let's get us to the top. Come on, let's get us to the top. Let's see if we can get to 60 watching tonight. That'd be absolutely superb. We've got DFT Lewis back in the chat. Looking forward to this. Some interesting results this weekend. Yep, some very interesting results. A couple of red cards as well, I think, in a game, and also a penalty shout in my game that didn't get noticed at the time. Dennis Millam is back in the chat. Hello, Dennis. Nice to meet you last week at the Harrogate game as well, mate. Good evening, Matt and Lee. Looking forward to the show. Thank you very much. Richard is back. He says, hi. Evening, mate. Troy says, evening, guys. David Ongley says, missed last week, so glad to be back. What Monday nights are all about. Nearly a yellow card, but he gets saved on a VAR there for that second sentence, Lee.
He does.
Nick Castleton says, evening both. Up to 26 now. This is superb. It's your mate Dom who sent me a message on Twitter on Saturday night or Sunday morning saying Lee is definitely on a yellow card now. Back-to-back defeats watching the Latics. Evening, gents. Salford away ticket acquired. Sold out in less than 10 minutes. That is some effort, to be fair. And evening, Dom. Welcome back to the chat. David Ongley says, nice shirt. No prizes for anyone for guessing, but yeah, if you do want to tell us who it is, or if you want to look in the background, if you can get the 3 hanging up under the Gills scarf, you get bonus points for them 3 because they are a little bit more tricky. You might need a big telly for that. Richard says 2 games tomorrow. That's the dream. You're going to do a match preview. 2 games tomorrow. Who's got 2 games tomorrow? I've got Gills tomorrow, haven't we? I'll be watching that one on the box, unfortunately. Be the first game I'm not attending this season. And then all routes to Cheltenham at home. Benjamin Haig, Oldham get battered everywhere we go. Evening, Benjamin. Welcome to the chat. Sid is in. Evening, Sid.
Good.
Hopefully he's got a Guinness. Hopefully he had some nice football scran at the weekend. Did I see that Sid did number 91 of 92?
Yeah, you could actually jump in with some comments on how his game went because he were at Barnet v Accrington. So,
we'll get to comment when we get to the video printer a little bit later. Yeah, definitely. And Richard said we got 2 games, Kent Cup and Colchester. Yes, sorry, mate. I'll be watching the Colchester one on the box. Not making a trip to Essex for a Virtu Trophy game. Anyway, right. Last comment for now. DFT says, looks like I'm coming back home for the Salford game on the 25th. We'll look out for you, Matt. Hoping I can come to more games at home if I can figure out trains from MK to Gillingham. Yeah, come and say hello, mate. If you're at the Salford game, come and see us. You know where I stand. I don't move before games. Corner flag between the Rainham end and the Gordon Road stand. Come and get you on the channel. And Dom said, how are we rating the scran on Saturday, Lee? Come on in, Lee, quick, rate the scran, and then we'll talk about the not so important stuff, the game.
So I had a bit of chicken wings at Hooters, solid 8.
Hooters? You went to Hooters before football?
Yeah, well, this is what the Booze Bus boys wanted, so we all jumped in there. Good atmosphere, proper away day. It were meant to be fair. Just being a little bit different where I usually travel my son and just being on bus with a good set of lads. It were class.
Just a shame you're now classed as a jinx. They'll be like, them Oldham fans are turning into Donny fans. That's the trouble.
Yeah.
Nothing to do with the team. It's just you turning up.
Yeah.
Charles Vernon is the best player in League Two, been injured for 2 seasons, and finally we're getting the old Vernon back. Yes, another goal at the weekend for Charles Vernon. We will get to that game a little bit later. But for now, first feature game was the one at lunchtime, and unfortunately it features my team getting beaten by 3-2. Goals for the MK Dons for Sam Gale, own goal, Nathaniel Mendez-Lang after 57 minutes, and Callum Patterson just after the hour. But the home side 3-0 up and very much in command against the lacklustre Gills before late goals from Seb Palmer-Holden and Johnny Williams in injury time almost forced the most unlikely of comebacks. This was a weird game to be at. Like, we didn't start properly. We kept giving the ball away. Then we score a really poor own goal. Don't defend the second phase of play after winning a header from the corner. Then nothing really happens apart from another chance for MK. So I'm sitting there at half time thinking, right, 1-0, we're in the game. Let's change it. We've got Aaron Rowe at left wing back. It's not working for me. No changes at the break. We come out, we absolutely bash them for 15 minutes. Ethan Coleman's unlucky with a header. Robbie McKenzie misses a really good chance when it's probably easier to score. Aaron Rowe stands on it when well positioned. And then we implode. Shad Ogie gives the ball away. Nathaniel Mendez-Lang is too good for League Two. Drops inside Andy Smith and smashes it in the bottom corner, and you're thinking, right, now we're going to see the character again. It's another game where we've conceded in the first 10 minutes on the road. Then we give another soft one. Andy Smith not strong enough against Callum Patterson, 3-0. And then honestly, mate, for 25 minutes, from the 70th minute till the full-time whistle, the game was just played in their penalty area, it felt like. Johnny Williams misses a one-on-one, blazes it over. He then has one just over the top. Seb Palmer-Holden then scores. We then have another chance. There's a couple blocked. Score again. Couple of corners in like the 97th minute of injury time. And finally, Mr. Drysdale, everybody's favourite referee, I'm sure now that Mr. Kettle has retired, blows the full-time whistle. So yeah, back-to-back defeats for the Gills. MK Dons pick up their second home win of the season. How did you see this one panning out before kickoff? Did you see it being like a 5-goal thriller or a little bit more cagey?
No, I if I were to predict, I'd have seen it probably a draw, if I'm honest. I didn't see 5 goals. Interesting. I think was it your second goal that you mentioned that Shad Ogie gives the ball away. If I don't who we're looking after the team, obviously with Ainsworth.
Richard Dobson, the assistant manager, was in charge.
Yeah, so I've watched him obviously give the ball away, and his body language to get back in after obviously giving it away were absolutely atrocious. He just made no effort. He just plodded and just like accepted that they were going to score basically. But yeah, like I say, I didn't expect to see 5 goals. Obviously, I keep an eye on it. We obviously go into my game. And then saw it 3-0. I just didn't see the result. Obviously, we all know MK Dons have got the players and the capability to do that because they have hit some teams with some heavy scores. But what did you see enough of MK to think that they're going to be in that top 3?
I think they'll be in the top 7. Because they'll get better with time. And like you've said, they've got too many good players to not be a threat when they get that right. And I said, like, when I put up the on socials about the match day live, you can't give players of that quality a helping hand or a head start. No. And we've spoke about it on previous episodes, haven't we? Like Callum Patterson, Nathaniel Mendez-Lang, they're championship quality. They really, really are. And you've got people that have come out of probably top-end League One as well. It just happened to be that we decided on the day we were going to be pretty woeful at key times, miss good chances at key times, give away the ball at key times, give them goals at key times. And yeah, we've got an issue now. Not in sense of the character or the bounce back ability to stay in football matches or to keep going till the very end. But it's now 4 in the last 5 games we've conceded in the first 15 minutes. And that's always going to come and bite you on the arse eventually, and it did 2 weeks in a row. Harrogate, all right, was one of them days it just wouldn't go in. But yeah, you can't be giving the ball to Liam Kelly on the edge of your own D. You can't be giving the ball to Nathaniel Mendez-Lang in the penalty area. You can't be allowing Callum Patterson a free run into the 6-yard box because they'll all punish you, and they all did. And there's a case to say that MK Dons played with their foot on the handbrake last 20 minutes. So how much is it us being really good in the last portion of the game, and how much is it them playing like I say, with the handbrake on. So, yeah, big week for us, I think. We've got an opportunity to give some people some minutes on Tuesday in the Virtu Trophy and hopefully get a positive result there. And then at home to Cheltenham on Saturday, which, if you look at the league table, we should win. But the questions are just starting to bubble under the surface about mentality and that, are we going to have another October like we did last year? So we need to put that to bed quickly, and then I think we'll be fine. And I know Gareth Ainsworth wasn't there, but that's by the by for me. You can't legislate for a centre half giving the ball away 20 yards from his own goal. And then I'm glad you mentioned it, because I didn't see it at the time in the ground. And then just, like you say, just saunters back into the box. There's no desire to get back in and try and rectify an error, which was really, really frustrating.
Yeah, his body language, like, he's just makes zero effort, just trots along. Frustrating. And I think going to MK, I think you've just got to keep it tight, because if you let them play their game and obviously concede how you've conceded 3 goals, you're always going to be a tough task. Because, like I said, they've punished teams before, and I think if you keep it tight and frustrate them, obviously with the crowd, obviously it's big stadium. I think the crowd are going to get frustrated with them, and I think then you've got that potential to go and win the football match. But yeah, to give sloppy goals away, and I think it's a frustration as a fan as well. It's to see that they're not making no effort to get back in. That would frustrate me. Do you think with Ainsworth, obviously it can't help what's gone on, but obviously it's come at a wrong time with your first defeat as well as Harrogate? You think it's all come at the wrong time as well?
Potentially, yeah. And obviously that's the question that will be asked now. I'd imagine they probably put it in and thought Harrogate's a winnable game, so we carry on the unbeaten run. Everyone's in a good mood when we announce that Gareth's got to go into hospital for surgery. And like we said last week, football takes second preference here. It's all about Gareth getting better, absolutely. But yeah, I'd imagine they was probably a little frustrated that it had to come out the night or the day after we lost the unbeaten run. And then we've compounded that with sloppy moments in a game that we probably could have got something from, because we had massive periods where we were well on top. I said it was a game that MK Dons could have won 5-2 and we could have nicked it 4-3. Such was the weird nature of it. But we kept shooting ourselves in the foot, which is what we did last season. So fingers crossed it is just a rough week and we get back on the horse next week. Right, let's get back to the comments, and then we'll have a look at the second game of the week. And then we'll jump into your Notts County trip, and you can tell us about your day on the bus. Darren Leverett says, thoughts on MK, Matty? See them improving. Think we bounce back against Cheltenham? Yeah, I've just said what I think about MK. Darren, I think they'll improve. I think they'll be there or thereabouts. David Ongley was correct. Yes, Fiorentina is the shirt last season's home. Troy says, see all them shots, Lee. How many did you have?
See all them shots. Oh, yeah. I get him now. I wonder what you're on about.
I don't think you mean shots on target.
Just the one for me. I wonder what you're on about then.
David Ongley says we missed Masterson. Yes, that's a fair point, David. I think that was the first time Saturday where I said, yeah, we could have done with someone Connor's experience in there, a little bit more know-how. Aaron says wasn't for a lack of trying from Gillingham on Saturday. Yeah, the effort's there, Aaron. I've got no concern over that at the moment. What I don't want is this one game becomes 2 and then 2 becomes 3 or 4 and suddenly you're a month down the line and all the good work's been undone again like it has in the last couple of seasons. Don't get me started on that slaphead Drysdale. Another fan of Darren Drysdale. Paul Marsden is the worst ref in the world. Worst ref I've seen, Matt. Hope you never get him. That's from Aaron. Liam says, evening to Matt and Lee. Evening, Liam, mate. Good to see you Saturday at Stadium MK. Which MK Dons players do you think are championship quality? Patterson and Mendes Lang for me stand out. They might even have others that, you know, have potential, the younger ones to improve. But yeah, they're certainly the 2 stand out for me. Anyone else for you, Lee, or is it them 2?
No, obviously Patterson, I think he'd still be starting for Wednesdays. Just to break down, I think he'd still be there. It's just obviously wages we couldn't afford to pay above that threshold that we were limited to at the time. I know he had a desire to stay, But obviously he's got to think of him then, and MK give him an offer that he probably can't refuse.
That's it, yeah. It's not like they're not paying League Two wages, I'd say, as well. That's the thing as well. So you can drop 2 levels and you're probably not losing too much in terms of a weekly pay packet. David's confident says we will win on Saturday. Right, we will do the second feature game, which I picked out, and that was a 6-goal thriller at Hayes Lane with New Terrace open as well for the first time, I believe, fully. And it finished Bromley 3, Tranmere Rovers 3 in another absolutely bonkers football match. Carl Cameron put the home side in front on 16 minutes before Nathan Smith scored an outrageous equaliser. That's an outrageous equaliser if you're a centre forward, let alone for a centre back. We might talk about that goal a little bit later, not to give too much away, hint, hint, nudge, nudge. But then 2 goals from Nicky Kabamba and a Michael Cheek spot kick either side of half time put the home side well in control. But that man, Omari Patrick, was back on the score sheet after 50 minutes before Cameron Norman tapped home after the ball dropped him off the crossbar. There was even time for a red card for Andy Woodman in that game, I think, in the first half. There was time for a red card for Byron Webster. Yeah, this is just a mad, mad game. Like we say, Carl Cameron scores a really good header from a corner. Everybody knows what a threat Bromley are from set pieces. And then Nathan Smith went, hold my beer. Unbelievable bicycle kick from across from the right hand. So it's not like he's got acres of space in the penalty area as well. He's like surrounded by everyone and he just thinks, right, sod this. Up like, I don't know, prime Rooney and smacks it into the back of the net. And yeah, I think it was Jack in our WhatsApp group was like, he's just scored a scissor kick. Like completely shocked and dumbfounded. And that's brilliant. We are up to 40. Oh, who just disappeared? We were at 40 in the live chat as well. So whoever that was that disappeared, please come back.
Yellow card.
Yeah. So yeah, that was 1-1. Then Nicky Kabamba scored from another set play. So Tranmere weren't learning their lessons from set pieces. Yeah, and then there was a weird penalty start of the second half. I don't know if you've seen this one. So Tranmere defender goes to clear it. Smith puts his hand up and it just hits him in the, like, literally smacking the arm. And the referee's got no choice but to give a spot kick. And at that point, I must admit, I thought Bromley would go away and pick up their first win in 5 or 6 here. But you've got to give credit to Rovers. Back in the game, invariably could have had a chance to win it playing against 10 men with 19 minutes to play, but wasn't able to get the winner. But I'd say that's probably a better point for the away side, considering they were 3-1 down with less than an hour played.
Yeah, and you've been to Bromley, you know what a tough place it is to go. So definitely they'll be chuffed with that point, especially being 3-1 down. You know, it looked like there were going to be one winner at that point. Obviously, the red card, definite red card. He's through on goal. So yeah, it's definite red card. Would have been interesting to see if he'd got his chance to make it 4-3. But yeah, it's Bromley would be disappointed as well. Obviously, being 2 goals up to drop 2 points. Sorry. And let Tranmere get back into it. Obviously, Bromley 13th, Tranmere 18th. Yeah, we've said about Bromley, where we think they're going to be. Are they a little bit of a rut, do you think?
I think they are, yeah. We both said about sort of outsiders for the playoffs, didn't we? And Cheek and Kabamba scoring was a big reason behind that. So it's obviously going slightly wrong in other areas of the pitch. But I'm not being funny. If you look at it the other way, you're 3 points off the playoffs after 10 games, 11 games. So it's not a disaster. They've only lost 2 as well. So I know they've not won for a few weeks, but they're still hard to beat, which is a good sign. Yeah, I think they'll end up higher than where they are at the moment. Tranmere, for me, are still just a much of a muchness. I think they've got worse since they bought Joe Ironside, ironically. Everyone sort of said, if you ask Tranmere fans, we need a goal scorer and that could take us to the next level. But I don't think have they won a game since he came in at the end of the window? I'm not sure they have. And that's why they're down in 18th. I know they got that game in hand from that postponement earlier in the season, but it only moves them to 16th if they beat Accrington.
Yeah, and looking at Bromley's result, they do tend to concede quite a few.
17 and 15 is Bromley's goals scored.
2-2 against Fleetwood, 2-2 against Notts County, 2-2 against Gillingham. Obviously, lost at Oldham, 2-2 against Chesterfield.
Love a Desmond, didn't they?
Yeah, and then 3-3 against Tranmere. So that they're conceding. So as much as they're scoring goals, they need to shut up shop
to line up at the other end.
Yeah.
And Tranmere, looking at their matches, haven't won a football match since the 23rd of August. So since the window's been shut, got beat at Salford, got held at home to Newport, got beat by Walsall, drew 0-0 at home to Cambridge, and then so you'd say that's probably their best result for a while to come from 3-1 down. But to me, they look like a lower mid-table side, and I worry a bit more from if someone like Patrick gets injured for any period of time.
Yeah, looking at if you to do predictions, I think I wouldn't ever put them above mid-table maximum, if I'm honest.
No, I totally agree.
Two good sides that you'd pick them over Tranmere. That's for sure.
Yeah, plenty. Like you say, there's plenty. You look at their squad and you don't think. I always go, if you look at a starting 11 of an opposition team and think, cool, how many of them get in my side? There's not loads that I'd go, cool, I desperately want them in the Gills team.
Yeah.
Probably Patrick. And maybe someone like Smallwood for experience and know-how in the middle of the park. But again, you have to say that he's 36 now, so he's going to be limited in what he can do.
Yeah.
Right, let's do a few more comments, and then you can tell us about your day out in Nottingham. David Ongley back to Jill says we will win Saturday, and then DFT Lewis is back, says love Ogie, but was shocked to see him in the lineup, needs minutes off the bench to build confidence. Yeah, it didn't work for whatever reason. Hadn't kicked a football since the League Cup tie, I think middle of August, and Aaron Rowe being used as a left wing back was a horrible decision, whoever that was on as well. So one that we learn from, hopefully, and we don't see again. Right, Lee, just before we get to your game, we have Dale says Notts were well worth the win on Saturday. Meadow Lane is becoming a fortress. If we could sort out a way form, we could be up there. Nice to see you in the chat, Dale. We've not had many Notts County fans, so welcome, my friend. Right then, Lee, that brings us nicely into it. You can tell us about your day on the bus, booters, maybe some football chat as well.
We'll just stick to the football. People don't know about my poor drinking.
Well, the Oldham fans might want to talk about Hooters and the bus.
No, like I say, it was a top day, start to finish. Early start for me getting over to Oldham. Obviously, Oldham fans are in good spirits. I think that's the beauty of football. It's win, lose or draw. It's a great day out at the football, especially away day. There's something amazing about it. You do enough, Matt, so you know what they're like. They're great. But yeah, on to the game. Notts County well worth 3 points. Take nothing away for it. If it had not been for Hudson, I think it could have been 5 or 6 easily. One of the saves he makes is absolutely outstanding. Top corner, and he kept the score down, that's for sure. But yeah, credit to Notts County. The goal come 7th minute. Really slack from Oldham. It goes out for a throw-in and they don't switch on. And it just allows Jatta to ghost in, and it's an own goal in the end, but it's a wicked deflection, but you just let him get into that area far too easy. And that would pretty much set the tone for Oldham. They were just slack all day, I found. And Tyrese Hall allowed the freedom to make it 2-0, cracking finish. But you've got to close them down. I don't know who it is. I think it was Will Sutton that were just stood harrying him instead of closing him down and making a tackle. When you're in the air, you've got to press and close down, and he's allowed to finish. But take nothing away from all. It's a cracking finish and curls it beyond Hudson. And then obviously going into the second half, you expect Oldham to come out a little bit better and on the front foot, and they just allow Jatta in behind. Again, poor defending, and he makes it 3-0, and the game's then well beyond Oldham's reach. but Mellon gets a consolation. They did have a little spell, 10 minutes, where you think a second goal could have made it interesting, but I think it'd have been harsh on Notts County, to be honest, for anything other than a victory for them. On Oldham's team selection, think he got it wrong. Think he got it really wrong. We've talked about Pet. I think there were 4 unbeaten going into this one. Saturday dropped him, and they get beat. So it tells the story. Yeah, we're just
the system. Can I ask you there, mate? Because looking on the app that I use, it's got Quigley playing as a winger. Is that wrong?
Yeah,
was it a front two of him and Mellon?
No, it were a front 3. So you had Woods, Conlon, Payne, and then Quigley wide left, and then obviously Drummond. Quigley wide left is just absolutely ridiculous. There are a point where he gets it on the left, and you can tell it's just, you need him in the box.
Bloke can't run, can he, either?
No, it's just absolutely stupid. I mean, even his substitution would ridiculous. He brings Fondop on for Drummond, so he's then got Fondop the right of the 3. Again, it's just like square pegs in round holes type thing. It's just, I think Mellon really got it wrong. I think if he's,
didn't Will Sutton get dropped to the bench as well, and he scored a really good goal last week in their win?
Yeah, and he got dropped for Caprice, and he had an absolute horror show. Caprice were at fault for 2 of the goals. That first one, like I say, it goes out for a throw, and he just basically stands there looking back to his goal, whereas Jata's already in. The throw's gone. Instead of switching on and being aware of where you know it's going to be a quick throw, and he just allows him to get in behind and score that first. And then, like I said, the third goal is pretty much same. He's just not switched on. Gives the ball.
I was a fan of Caprice as a teenager, but she was never good at playing right back away at Notts County, was she? Let's be honest. For the younger ones, Google her, because they won't know what FHM means, will they?
To be fair, you'd have thought she were playing Saturday.
But she'd have been a better option, wouldn't she?
Yeah, she would. But no, take nothing away from Notts County. Deserve 3 points. I'd have just been interested in see if, like the likes of Pet, I think it'd have been a closer game. If I were to predict a score going into it, I'd have thought a draw. But yeah, worthy winners, Notts County. I think, like I said, Mellon got his team selection wrong. I've heard his interview after. I think it's a little bit disappointing. I think sometimes managers need to hold their hands up a little bit more and just say, look, got it wrong today. I think fans would respect that a little bit more instead of trying to make excuses as to why they've lost the game. I think everyone could see in that ground, especially in the Oldham end, 2,200 made the trip, and it was absolutely outstanding support.
Yeah, when you get let down a bit, you feel, don't you? It's frustrating.
Yeah. They could all see what the issue was. The team selection were poor. Dom will back me up. It was just, it just wasn't meant to be for Oldham on Saturday. But yeah, Notts County ticking along nicely. I think they're playing some good football. Like I say, I think it could have been 5 or 6 easily if it weren't for Hudson. And Hudson got his applause at the end from the Oldham fans because they knew without him it would have been.
Yeah, just looking at, he made 9 saves, 5 saves inside the box. Yeah, so it indicates that he's had an afternoon that was far too busy than ideal. And and just back to that bench, like Sutton, Pett, Hannon have all been really good for me in what I've seen in terms of Oldham's little unbeaten run. So it does seem strange. Maybe Mellon was on the phone to the Gills management team and both just had a bit of a brain fade this weekend and had some weird ideas on who's suited to play on the left-hand side of midfield and that type of thing. Because it sounds very familiar to, like, in terms of the Gills game. Because we were sat here 7 days ago talking about how solid Oldham are and Gillingham, and they both had an absolute shocker defensively at the weekend. So fingers crossed for both sets of fan bases that it's a bit of a blip and nothing more.
Yeah, I know they drew last week, which they'd have expected to win, but I don't think it warrants being that drastic and dropping the likes of Pet.
Not like you say, not like when you're 4 unbeaten and you've won
No,
3 before the draw. It's ridiculous.
no.
If
And
Dom's still
I
in the
would,
chat, Dom, let us know what you think, please, mate, or if there's any other Oldham fans. I'd love to get your thoughts on it because it does seem a bit strange.
yeah, and I wouldn't expect it from Mellon. He's not usually that drastic with his team selection. He usually, if he's unbeaten, and he usually tries to stick with what he's got. So it was a bit of a strange one. And that Quigley playing wide left, it's just a non-starter. It's absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, similar to us. Like Dobson did his pre-match press conference last week before the game and said, "Oh no, there'd be little change. Like we don't need to change it, obviously because of what Gareth's been doing." And then we pitch up and we've changed the shape. We've put in a centre back who's not played for 2 months. We've got a right winger playing left wing back, and it bit us on the arse. This is the easiest way to put it. So hopefully lessons learned from both sets of management teams there. Nick Castleton is in the chat and says, definitely a small blip for the Gills, Matt. We'll be back for a win on Saturday. Hope you're right, mate. Dave Ongley says, Bromley love a set piece. Yes, they do. Yeah, I'm sure it doesn't take a lot of coaching or scouting to realise that they are very strong. Aaron says that Andy Woodman was so fuming at getting sent off that he didn't even do a post-match interview. I think Andy Woodman's a great angry, isn't he? Like, some people, they try and be angry and you just think, no, don't bother. But him, I'd imagine he's really good. He's raging. Like
he was storming across pitch, wasn't he? He was absolutely raging.
Yeah, I know, because you have to walk across from the dugouts to the tunnel, don't you? That's proper old school. Remember that used to be like that at Gills. The tunnel was the opposite side to the benches. Yeah, and you get absolute caning if it was an away manager was getting sent to the stands. Aaron stays on Bromley and says they're still my dark horses for the playoffs. Yeah, I still think they'll be there or thereabouts. David Ongley says we should buy Patrick in January. It's a family show, guys. Well, we haven't said anything rude, have we?
Caprice, I think he's on about, isn't he?
Caprice or shots. Dom is in the chat and says, cracking day despite the football. Got back to the pub and karaoke was on to a good laugh. Finally got home 1:45 and a nasty hangover. Oh, I don't do hangovers anymore, mate. Far too old for that kind of nonsense. But I'm glad you had a good day. And he goes on to say, massively wrong regarding the team selection. Payne and Caprice with little game time, brought Fondapon and put him on the right. Yeah, basically what Lee's just said, then lots of square pegs and round holes, which is very confusing when you've been on a good run of form. Right, we're up to 45, though, watching, which is brilliant. So if we can push that to 50, that'd be great. So tell your mum, tell your dad, whoever's in the house, tell them to put YouTube on.
Get them involved.
Get them involved, exactly that. Notts are leading scorers at home this season with 15 in 6 games. Yeah, very impressive. I don't think a goal threat was ever our issue with Notts County, even at the start of the season, was it, Lee? I know you weren't on the early shows, but we obviously spoke on WhatsApp and that type of thing and on social media. They've got lots of good players in forward areas. We know that. We know they've lost some, but, Jody Jones gets himself back to full fitness. They've got Jatta. They've got Matt Dennis had a great start to the season. The lad that scored the second goal's having a low-key good season. Is it that Tyrese Hall, isn't it?
Yeah, he looks a good player.
3 goals, 2 assists or something. He's only started 2 out of his 7 appearances in the league, so it can't be long before he gets a regular run of starts. So yeah,
he took his goal really well. I think
it was a smart finish. That
Matty Palmer, I think, were a standout as well. He played really well. But yeah, credit to Notts, played some good football.
Yeah, they always will. It's just maybe middle of the season when the going gets tough and they're on a run of 4 or 5 without a win. How does Martin Patterson react and that type of thing? But deal with that when you get to it and that type of thing. Darren Leverett says, Cole U, that's a result. Well, that brings us nicely on to our next feature game, Darren. Thank you very much. Colchester 6. Do not adjust your sets. This is a Colchester team that I think had won 1 game all season. We were talking about how much pressure Danny Cowley was on. Yeah. And then they go and bop Chesterfield to the tune of 6 goals to 2 and we're 4-1 up at half time. This one looked done inside 15 minutes for me, mate. Harry Anderson taps in after some really slack play from Chesterfield. Jack Payne then capitalises on some really slack play from Chesterfield. And you're thinking, as a Cole U fan, you're thinking, lovely. Like 75 minutes there, we can probably chill out a little bit. But Cole U being Cole U this season made it hard for themselves. It's a good goal from Liam Mandeville. to get Chesterfield back into the game. And then they self-destruct again, Paul Cook's men. They get carved open for Payne's second of the afternoon, which made it 3-1. And he gets himself a hat-trick when Ryan Sturck just bundles into the back of someone in the penalty area. I think it might have been Payne, actually.
I think it was.
Very sloppy performance from Chesterfield. That's the second hiding they've taken on the road this season because they got slapped 4-1 at our place in August as well. Yes, they scored second half. James Berry scored a decent goal, but Kyrie's Lisby had already scored before then to make it 5. And it was Anderson who had the final say, tapping in to, make it 6 in added time. So, number one, takes the pressure off Danny Cowley for at least a couple of weeks, surely. And number two, do Chesterfield have anything to be worried about in terms of their away form?
I think so. I think, like you said, they went to your place, got beat 4-1. And then to get beat here 6-2, they've got it in them to get slapped away from home. It's a strange one because you wouldn't expect it from a Paul Cook side.
They conceded 14 goals in 6 games on the road this season.
Yeah,
that's over 2 a game. That is, and they've lost 3 out. They've lost half their games away from home, which is that's cause for concern for me, most definitely. Down in 13th in the away table.
Yeah, that looks like it's going to be their Achilles heel. Obviously, promotion run hopefuls. You wouldn't want to be getting beat them numbers and conceding them numbers. A little bit worrying for Chesterfield fans. I totally agree. Be interesting now to see what Colchester do, because we've talked, I think, the last 2 weeks how much pressure that they were under. It's now, can they go on a run and build confidence on that? Because obviously beating Chesterfield, it's got to breed that confidence, and putting 6 past them.
The next 4 are tough still, Cole U, for a team that's still down in the bottom third. They go to Grimsby this weekend.
Oh, Jesus.
Then they host Harrogate. You'd say that's probably not must win, but one you'd like to get 3 points from. Then they go to Swindon to complete October. And then their first game in November is at home to Bromley. And you're going to be in a battle regardless of what form Bromley are in. So, that's certainly a well-needed win for Danny Cowley's men. But, I don't think he's just out the woods just yet, because they've still got some tough games. And it's all right doing it once. You've then got, like you say, you've got to go and back it up and put yourselves a little run together, haven't you? So, be interesting to see how both teams react this weekend. I know Dave, who's in our WhatsApp group, said, I think he just put a load of present emojis, didn't he? And said, like, that's how easy it was for Colchester. We just gifted them and gifted them and gifted them some more. Maybe it's just a one-off. But when you see a 4-1 and a 6-2 in your first 6 games on the road, you've got to be a little bit concerned. That's
it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting. So obviously, you can only watch what highlights. Obviously, 6-2. You've got to say, they probably deserve the win, but it's how bad Chesterfield were or how good Colchester were. So it'd be interesting to see if there's any fans that can obviously comment on that, because sometimes it is a case of like a team just being really good and blowing a team out of water, or a team just being that bad that they just anyone could have beat them.
That's similar to the game at our place, just to interrupt, because they got themselves back into the game at 2-1 at Priestfield. And then for the third goal, our keeper just booted it down the middle and they let it bounce. And our little left back, who was about a foot shorter than Che Dunkley or Carl McFasdine, got in front of him and out-muscled him and smashed it into the net. And then in injury time, all right, they're chasing the game, I get that, so they're going to be a bit open. But they try and be clever and see it out on the touchline and have it nicked off their toe, and then we just cross it in and it's a tap-in. So there are errors, certainly, on the road. So, but that's not to take anything away from Colchester or Gills back in August, because you can only beat what you're playing against, and both times they've done it well. So, right, back to the comments, and then we've got one more feature game and then Vidi Printer. Lee saying Jesus to Colchester playing Grimsby next made me smile. David Ongley says, what's your score predictions for Harrogate at Crewe tonight? See, Harrogate coming off a great win against us. Crewe have been poor for weeks, but then picked up a win last week, didn't they? One each.
1-1's a good prediction. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll copy it you, David, mate. So you can host next week if you want, mate. We'll have a week off.
Now, do you know what? I'm going to go 2-1 Harrogate.
2-1 Harrogate. Up the pie.
Yeah.
What do you make of the Chesterfield fans who want Cook out? I've not seen any of that, but that's...
Yeah, see, this might be what I mentioned.
Oh, you said so before we pressed record about there was something going on before the game.
Yeah, something's. I don't know if anyone can shed any light. Something. I watched the Football League highlights on obviously Sky. Was it ITV? I think it is. And the woman mentioned that something had happened, like behind the scenes. So whether this is what's happened, I don't know. But to want Cook out, bloody heck, it's a bit steep, isn't it?
A bit steep. They're one win away from the top three. They're on 18 points, and Grimsby and us are third and fourth on 21. So I'm not sure he's quite in sackable territory yet, like as much as the away form's been poor. But that means that their home form's really good. Because if they've lost 3 out of 6 on the road, they're unbeaten at home. So I don't know. That's a weird one for me. If they want him out,
it can be a case of fans getting a little bit greedy, maybe. I mean, you look at the first season back in League Two last season, playoffs.
Exactly. I don't know. I don't want to say they're ahead of schedule because there's a lot of clubs that have come up and gone straight through. We've seen Luton do it years ago. Obviously, Wrexham, Stockport, but their budget was ridiculous. So I don't think you compare yourselves to like Wrexham and Stockport. If you're a Chesterfield fan and you come out of the National League and you say we're going to get to the playoffs next season, you go thanks very much.
Yeah.
And then if you're 11 games into the season after that and you're in 8th, I think it is, like you're getting more right than you're getting wrong, surely.
Yeah. Do you think it's a case of? I did read pre-season that Chesterfield did fancy themselves to walk this league, not walk the league, but be right up there. Do you think that they're getting a little bit worried?
Self-entitlement a little bit, maybe?
Maybe, yeah.
Because we had that as a fan base. I think we was all guilty of that as Gills fans when we was taken over and thought, oh yeah, we'll just not buy our way out of League Two, but you get a little bit ahead of yourselves and start trying to run before you can walk and that type of thing.
Yeah, you're gonna have blips and stuff. Obviously, yeah. It's
great to get Chesterfield fans in the group, wouldn't it, and have a chat and see what they think. So maybe we'll have a word with Dave and see if we can get him on next week, and he can let us know what's going on. But yeah, it's a very odd one if they want him out at this stage of the season.
Very.
Not in our division, but Darren Leverett says that Luton have sacked their manager. That's Matt Bloomfield, isn't it? I think Gareth Ainsworth's old mate from Wickham. So
yeah, another club that I think they've just got that losing mentality. It's hard to shake. It doesn't matter who you get in.
Yeah, they're struggling in League One as well, aren't they? Not doing as well as everyone thought. I watched them in a pre-season friendly at Priestfield. Thought they were really good. I thought, yeah, they'll be a threat.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was this morning. Luton have today parted company with manager Matt Bloomfield. Anyway, back to League Two. Right.
On League Two, I've just read before we come on that a certain Ian Holloway is linked with a return back to Blackpool.
Yeah, I saw that that was in the group chat. I hadn't seen anything on socials. That's an interesting one because he wasn't the gaffer when they got to the Premier League.
Yeah, so that's one to keep an eye on.
Because all the Steves have been sacked from Blackpool, and it didn't have like 8 Steves. Their whole coaching staff was called Steve.
Yeah, well, obviously you got Bruce Clements.
And then Stephen Darby was a coach. Steve Banks was the goalkeeper coach. I think their physio was called Steve.
Jesus.
Right.
Maybe why it won't work.
It's just a case of Steve Bruce is so old and senile that he just has to have everyone with exactly the same name. Right, that did make me laugh. Yeah, so there's plenty of managers out of work at the moment. We are getting to that stage of the season, I think, where people start getting a little bit twitchy on the old trigger finger. Right, final feature game of the week was involving a team that appointed a new manager at the back end of last week to try and get them off the bottom of the table And it's fair to say, mate, that Steve Cotterill's return to Wadden Road had the desired effect as they beat Fleetwood by 2-0. Yeah, Fleetwood looked really poor in this one, to be fair. It looked to be all Cheltenham. The highlights that I watched, Isaac Hutchinson missed a really good chance early on. He headed over when he should have done better. That was basically it for the first half. Then he got his second goal for the club, I think it was. Didn't he score the winner against Accrington a couple of weeks ago? Just past the hour. Nice curling finish into the far corner. And then, yeah, a really, really good second goal a couple of minutes later. Really nice build-up play through the middle of the park. Cut Fleetwood open far too easily from a defensive point of view. But again, that's not Cheltenham's problem. And Josh Martin, delightful little dink finish over Jay Lynch. And I think it's fair to say that if Lynch hadn't been on top form, much like Hudson in the Oldham game, this could have been more than just 2-0. But yes, what a return, mate, for Steve Cotterill. Gives the Cheltenham fans something to cling on to.
Yeah, it's perfect fit.
And manage a bounce 4 days before they come to Gills.
Marvellous. About to say, yeah. Yeah, I bet you're buzzing for that, mate.
Oh, yeah, can't wait now.
I think it's... We said they've got to get it right. I think he's a guy that knows the club. And obviously his return's massive. And it's the perfect start. It's just what they needed. It's now... Let's see what happens now. Obviously, it's about getting that reaction for a first game, but it's obviously then your second, third, and fourth. It's what you do. Comments from previous manager, we all know what he said. It's the worst squad he's ever worked with. So, how true that will be? Well, I think it'll come interesting in the next couple of weeks. That's for sure, because obviously Cotterill knows he's got a big job on his hands, hasn't he?
So they go to Gills next Saturday. Then they're away to Newport. That's huge.
Yeah, massive that.
Last game of October is home to Walsall. And then November they play Notts County at home, Tranmere away, Bristol Rovers at home, Colchester away, Swindon at that's it. Sorry, up to So there's games in there which help them that are around teams that are near them in the league, like Tranmere and Colchester at the moment as it stands, and obviously Newport in a couple of weeks. But yeah, one swallow doesn't make a summer and all that. But
no,
for them as a fan base, it's great because we spoke about Michael Flynn's comments, worst group of players he'd ever come across in terms of management. They then didn't do anything to change that sort of opinion, did they, when they got slapped 7-0 at Grimsby the Saturday after? So that's one hell of a bounce back in just 7 days, and fair play to Cotterill and the coaching staff and the players as well. Gives them something to cling on to. Right, let's do Vidi Printer. Then we'll do some more comments, and then we'll start looking at goals of the weekend and the player of the week. We had Newport County 0, Swindon Town 1. Another goal for Ollie Palmer on 10 minutes sealed the points for Ian Holloway's men. Barnet saw off Accrington at the Hive by 2-0 thanks to Callum Stead in the first half and Ryan Glover 12 minutes from time. It's another win for a low-key, very good Cambridge side at the moment. 3-1 against Crawley Town. Goals from Shane Lavery, Pelly and Panzu and Kilian Kouassi put the side 3-0 in front before Kabongo Shimanga pulled one back on 66 minutes, but it was no more than a consolation. Grimsby went to Salford and won by 2-0, which was a really impressive win. Evan Curry and Charles Vernon with the goals. Walsall came from behind to beat Bristol Rovers 2-1 thanks to an Aaron Presley a double, which cancelled out Fabrizio Caven's early strike. And Barrow versus Shrewsbury happened. Yeah, talk to me about Cambridge. Up to 7th. We've said all season, probably not quite got enough to get in the top 7 or higher. That may still be the case, but very much going under the radar at the moment, aren't they? Until we just blurted it out on YouTube, of course.
Yeah, I think we mentioned it last week that they're ticking along nicely, getting the results. Like I say, 7th now, and above probably everyone, one of people's favourites, Chesterfield. Yeah, I think that's how they would like it to be not talked about. I think it helps them. obviously other teams are getting a mention about promotion, whereas they're just doing the job, getting results, and ticking along.
Yeah, really are. Be interesting to see again. So let's just have a look at their upcoming fixtures to see where they go. See, next two, you'd fancy them to get something. Away to Shrewsbury, you'd fancy them to get something there on Saturday, and then they host Bromley, who we've said are out of form. And then their final game of the month is Notts County away, so that'd be an intriguing game as well. So yeah, you'd think if they pick up 4 points from them 3 games, they're still going to be in and around it. And then all of a sudden, you're into November and December comes on the horizon, and then you're talking about January transfer windows all over again. It's mental, isn't it, how quick this season starts to move?
Yeah, it does. I think this next 2 months definitely seems to fly to me, and then you're at that Christmas period, and that's when you can start looking at teams and thinking, yeah, they're really serious about promotion, or you can sort of talk about teams that are going to be in that dogfight. Interesting. Speaking on the dogfight, though, I think that bottom 5 for me are the ones that we're going to be talking about a lot this season. Is in that they're going to be struggling, and it's going to be chopping and changing between them as well.
Yeah, I think that's a fair comment, to be honest. Yeah, I had Crawley a little bit higher up at the start of the season, but yeah, they're too easy to play against, and they conceded 20 goals already, and they don't score enough.
And the sporting director's just left the club as well.
Has he?
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I think I'd probably say if you look up to 17th where Barrow are, you'd say Colchester and Tranmere are the most likely to leapfrog themselves away from that bottom portion. But again, they're down there for a reason, aren't they, at the moment? But yeah, I can't disagree. Accrington, Crawley, Cheltenham, Shrewsbury, Newport look like poor football teams at the moment, and teams that are going to have a long season. You wanted some in-depth analysis from Sid about, was it Barnet, Accrington? Is that where he was?
Yeah, he was, yeah.
Here's his comment gone. I saw it a minute ago. Right, here it comes. Are you ready for this?
He'll be on the show next week.
Neither team will be pushing for promotion, that's for sure. Big fan of both then, Sid, I can tell, my friend.
It's interesting because
Accrington just don't score enough, do they? That's the trouble. They've scored 7 goals in 10 games. And Barnet are still very up and down for me. I know they're up to
10th, I think.
10th now, but they're likely to go and lose their next 2 or something silly, aren't they? They're just a very odd team. It's almost like all or nothing with them at the moment, I feel, still.
Yeah, and I think, like, looking at obviously getting promoted from last season, I think mid-table stability, I think that were probably the aim for them. Realistically, you might get some that talk playoffs, but I think realistically, I think stability is key. Obviously, getting back into League Two, I think it'll be a good season. And much like Oldham, I think as well. I think that's what both clubs should be striving for. I know you get greedy.
Down in 15th, but there's only 3 points between the 2 promoted sides, isn't there?
Yeah.
At the moment, it's so congested in that middle bit.
You get greedy as a fan, wanting promotion after promotion, but sometimes you've just got to have your realistic head on, haven't you?
Yeah, because we talked about Wrexham, didn't we? Sort of loosely a few weeks ago, and said about potential for them to go straight into the Premier League, and they're finding it a lot harder in the Championship. It's like they've hit a ceiling a little bit to where that budget can only take you so far. Whereas League Two, National League, League One, it buys you the very best players available. Whereas now Championship, there's a lot more teams looking at them players, and it all becomes a bit more competitive. So Nick's just giving some in-depth information regarding the Steve Bruce sack, and he said apparently the Blackpool chairman shouted out, "Steve, you're fired," so they all turned around and got up.
I like that.
Aaron says Neil getting a £750 fine for assault is a joke. Yeah, this has been rumbling on for a while, hasn't it? Apparently he chinned Jay's Cabia in the tunnel a couple of weeks ago. Like I said before, Aaron, you can take the lad out of Millwall, but you can't take the Millwall out the lad. Aaron's dreading the transfer window yet, because when you're playing well, invariably people come and pinch your best players.
And possibly manage. Is he a manager that clubs would look at?
Potentially, Artell plays the nice football, doesn't he? If
Yeah.
play in the right way, in inverted commas. What do you think? Someone bottom end of League One might take a chance?
Yeah. Put it to the chat. I'm interested in which League Two manager would most likely get a move or be a target for a club. Probably League One maximum, I'd say.
Let's do it. We'll put it on, leave it on the screen if I can spell.
But yeah, I'd say, for me personally, I'd probably say, yeah, Artell. He's done a cracking job and will continue to do a cracking job.
There we go. We'll leave it on there. Sid said about the Barnet game, it was windy, only a three-sided ground, which spoilt the game, unfortunately. Oh, Aaron's just Artell only signed a 3-year deal in August. Well, there you go then, mate. Cha-ching. Cha-ching indeed.
Money does too.
Yeah, it does. Right. Goals of the week.
Well, I'll let you go first. I think I went first last week, didn't I?
Third place. I had Johnny Williams' goal for the Gills. And I thought technically this was really, really good, which was somewhat surprising after he'd missed an absolute sitter about 10 minutes before that and then scored the harder chance. Yeah, ball gets played over the top by Sam Gale. Centre half, I think Nathan Thompson just misjudges a little bit, but Johnny's still got loads to do. He's got to bring it under control. First touch is brilliant over his shoulder. And then you think for all the world, if he's going right footed, he's going to go bend it outside the far post and in. No, goes with the laces and almost fades it like a golf shot across McGillivray and into the far corner. Unfortunately, it meant absolutely nothing in the grand scheme of things because we ran out of time. But yeah, I thought that was technically a really, really good goal. And it's something we need to see more of from Johnny Williams because his numbers for the Gills have not been anywhere near good enough based on the player that we got from Swindon 2 or 3 summers ago. But yeah, that was my pick for third. In second, I had Josh Martin's goal for Cheltenham Town against Fleetwood, which clinched the points. You said a few weeks ago, I think it was Ronan Darcy's for Chesterfield, love a team goal. And this was the very, very epitome of that. Really, really good passing out from the back, really quick passing in the middle of the park, cut Fleetwood open, and then Josh Martin, cracking little finish, sits the keeper down and then just dinks it over him. It's one of them where it's so good that the defender, right until the ball goes over the line, thinks he's got a chance of clearing it. And you can see him frantically trying to get back, and he ends up like with his shorts around his ankles in the back of the net all tied up. Martin's off celebrating 3 points. But the winner, I think, was fairly obvious. And it had to go to Nathan Smith, the Tranmere Rovers centre half, for his outrageous bicycle kick, which got his side level at Hayes Lane against Bromley. So yeah, my goal of the week was Nathan Smith's overhead kick. So
we've only got one same this week. So my third, Hutchinson first, Cheltenham goal. Nice curling effort. So opening the scoring for Cheltenham. Second was Hull, Notts County's second. I mentioned it. He had all the time in the world, but it's still a cracking finish and nice curling effort. Takes it beyond Hudson, and yeah, it's an easy winner for me. As soon as I seen it, I'm like, yeah, that's my winner. Nathan Smith, Tranmere, bicycle kit, outrageous. Yeah,
I think I knew it was going to be the goal of the week as soon as we saw the comment in the WhatsApp group that just said he scored a bicycle kick. You're like, hang about. And when you go, it's a bicycle kick, and he's a central defender, you're thinking, yeah, someone's going to have to do really well to beat this week. But it's a stunning hit, absolutely stunning hit. Yeah, like you pick Hall, like I said, he's having a low-key, really good season. Right, we've got a couple of replies, I think, to who out of the current League Two managers could most likely jump to League One right now. DFT Lewis says Neil Harris. Aaron says Paul Ward. Who for you, mate? Who would be your pick? You can't pick one of them two, so rule them out.
I'd probably say Artell.
Yeah, Artell's a good one. I would go maybe.
I think Warren's had an opportunity in them divisions. Don't see a club looking at him now, if I'm honest. I know he might
struggle at Derby after leaving Rotherham.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
Yeah, so there's that sort of maybe holds people back a little bit. What about Cole Robinson?
Yeah, possibly. Yeah.
Done well at the level before, hasn't he, with MK and Oxford, I think, years ago as well.
Yeah.
And obviously Ainsworth potentially as well. He's done well at League One level for Wickham. So yeah, there's a few. There's some really good managers at the level, I think, is what we're saying. But yeah, there's some good picks there. If there's anyone else who's got any ones that we've not mentioned, keep letting us know. Right, Lee, Dom says can't overlook Holloway. Definitely still has it in him. Interesting one, Holloway, for me. Hadn't been in the game for ages. But when you look at clubs and managers or players where it just fits, obviously you can't get away from the fact that he took them to the Premier League, albeit it was 15 years ago.
Yeah, I totally agree. And he'll have fond memories. I know it turned really sour for him. I think I listened to his podcast and how it left, but that was obviously the previous owners.
I was going to say that was to do with the Oyston family still, wasn't it, at the time?
Yeah, which is totally understandable.
Very different club now, yeah.
Yeah. But it's interesting, isn't it? It's going to be, does he see it as, I want to finish a job at Swindon and get them possibly promoted, or does he go back down memory lane?
Might come down to that. It always does, unfortunately. That's the nature of the beast in League Two.
And he might miss that Blackpool Tower.
He might love it, yeah. They probably do better fish and chips than Swindon and all, don't they?
Yeah, possibly, yeah.
And there's a roller coaster and candy floss on tap. So he's going back for all the right reasons.
Yeah.
Right, do you want to give us your player of the weekend, mate?
Yeah, I'm going to go for Jack Payne. Obviously got an hat-trick in Colchester's 6-2 victory against Chesterfield. So, yeah, Jack Payne for me, mate.
Yeah, really good numbers, to be fair. Yeah, and anyone who gets a treble, certainly in the first half of a football match, is going to be in contention. Weirdly, I've got the same team, but a different player. I went for his teammate, Kyrese Lisby. He's having a good season, first and foremost, but that doesn't make him player of the weekend. But yeah, they scored 6 goals. He's involved in 3 of them. Scored a goal, 2 assists, was just a constant threat throughout. I love how he plays the game. He's almost fearless, like, we'll try things that you'd try in the park with your mates, that type of thing. Played 84 minutes. He had 32 touches. Pass completion rate was 90%. 3 key passes, 2 assists, 3 shots on target, and obviously got his goal, which I think was his 5th of the season. I think he's got 7 goal contributions in all competitions now. So that was my pick. But yeah, I don't think it's too much of a surprise that it comes from a team that scores 6 goals from both of us. Right, let's find the league table. Actually, we've got a couple more comments here. Aaron says Russell Martin is available for some League One jobs. Didn't I read earlier, mate, that he's had 4 jobs in 4 or 5 seasons now?
Yeah, I know we're not obviously it's Scottish football. I think he's not done a great job. For me, I don't think he were ever the right fit, but I think the treatment that he's had there has been despicable, if I'm honest. I think sometimes fans get a little bit above the stations. Mm-hmm. I think, you can talk about managers being under pressure on social media and stuff, but to see what he had to do to get out of the ground yesterday, I think it's absolute disgrace, if I'm honest. Doesn't matter who it is, to be subject to that sort of fan pressure, it's absolutely ridiculous. And I think Rangers board need to probably say something a little bit on that, because I think you're going to go down a little alleyway where this is going to be the norm if fans know that they can put pressure on a board to get a manager out.
Similar at Forest, isn't it, at the moment? Like Postecoglou apparently is going in for talks after 7 games. It's
absolutely ridiculous. Like, I remember the days managers used to be in jobs for years, and it's that's the thing in the past now. It's such a results, but it's not. I don't want to say it's even a results business anymore. It's just social media and fans have so much say in what goes on at a club now. It's absolutely madness. Bloke's been barely in a job, and like I say, Postecoglou, he's already under pressure. I bet he's.
It's like anything, isn't it? There's ways and means of having an opinion. You might not like a manager or a player, but there's ways and means of voicing an opinion, and some people just sadly don't have a clue where the line is, do they? That's the trouble.
No, that's it.
Right, we've got Dan in the chat. Walsall fan Dan. Evening, lads. Keep up the great time. So, what time do you call this, mate? What do we think? Yellow card?
Yeah, red card.
8:30. For a table topping supporter. That is shocking. You're lucky that's not a straight red, mate. Right, and on that, let's have a quick look at the League Two table before we start blowing full time. And there it is, in all its teletext glory. Newport have dropped to the bottom of the table then, mate, with 5 points, and they are being kept company by Shrewsbury Town. Both sides have only won one football match all season. Above them, you've got Cheltenham, who jumped out, Crawley Town, who drop into 21st, Accrington continue to fall, Colchester give themselves a bit of breathing space in 19th, and then you've got Tranmere, Barrow, Harrogate. Oh, has there been any goals in that one yet? Is that that's just started, hasn't it?
Just kicked off, yeah.
Just kicked off. What we got? Surely there's not an early goal. We've not heard from Lee in the not Lee. Yep, Jack Muldoon 1-0 to Harrogate after 5 minutes. So Harrogate there will jump, if we're doing a live table, that takes them up to 12th. Because they'll go above Crewe Alexandra if it stays like that. But obviously, long way to go. There's still 84 minutes to play. And then if you look at the top half, we've mentioned Crewe. Then you've got Bristol Rovers dropped to 11th, Barnet into the top 10, Notts County and Chesterfield on the edge of the playoffs. Cambridge go in, as do MK Dons. Salford dropped to 5th after defeat. And Gills come out of the top 3, I think, for the first time this season as they lost back-to-back games at Stadium MK. Top 3 is made up of David Artell's Grimsby Town, Ian Holloway's Swindon Town, and Matt Sadler's high-flying Walsall, who have 25 points from their first 11 games. Walsall fan Dan says, just in time for the table. Yeah, but the table looked nice for you boys up until about February last season, didn't it? I'm joking. And another good one, isn't it, mate? Been lots to talk about again. Enjoyed this.
Yeah, fixtures are coming thick and fast. Like I said, we're in October now, and it starts to pick up where you can sort of see the picture form, and I think we can already see the picture form and who's going to be in that mix, top half, but also bottom half. And I think it's a fantastic division. I think it always has been and will be. It's lots of twists and turns along the way, and we'll be here to talk about it, won't we?
Absolutely, we will. Yeah, you look at that Harrogate game. If they win that tonight, so that takes their goal difference to 0. They jump up 5 places or something in one game, and there's Barrow are 17th. They're only 6 points off 5th. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's what's great about the division.
Yeah,
you'll get a couple of wins, and you're right back in where you want to be, or maybe above your stations where you don't expect to be sometimes. Obviously, Harrogate with small budget, everyone writes them off, and they always prove people wrong. Interesting again, Crewe, if they get beat tonight, pressure's back on, is it?
It'll be 1 win in 6, 1 win in 7 after 4 games, 4 wins on the bounce at the start of the season. Yeah, so like I say, long way to go in terms of tonight's game and also the season. But yes, Nick says, good show again, lads. Thank you very much, mate. Appreciate it. Like I say, every week we appreciate the support. Everybody who comes in and watches and likes and shares. Please, please, please go and follow the page on X, because it has got its own home now, the League 2 Hour. You can find us on there. And then if you can retweet, shout out the show, tell your mates about it, just to keep growing the audience, that'd be absolutely brilliant. You know, to subscribe to Lee's channel, because he is the best ground hopper in the country. and he's going to win some awards next month, hopefully, at the FCA. So go and vote for him as well. All his details are on his social media platform. So go and vote for him in all 3 categories. We're going to have to we'll get one up on screen when you win, mate.
Yeah.
And,
I've already won by getting there, mate. It's always nice to be nominated, and it's just nice to have a night out and get a suit on. Take the missus out; she'll be buzzing with it. So yeah, it's always a good crack.
Absolutely. Right, as always, thanks for watching. He's Lee. I'm Matt. This has been the League 2 Hour, and we will see you next Monday.